I've been using 3D printers for about 2 years now, and during that time, I've only had a chance to work with what's called Cartesian style 3D printers. What that means is the print head moves in the X and Y direction, as well as the Z, of course, as it builds up your height. Now, that's not the only style of 3D printer. There's also what's called a Delta 3D printer that moves in a circular bed and a circular fashion, as well as moving up and down. So in this video, I'm finally going to get a chance to build and test a Delta style 3D printer, thanks to Banggood, who sent over this EZT T1 kit that's actually under $160 for the whole kit. Now, this comes as a completely disassembled printer, so it's going to take a little bit of elbow grease in exchange for that low cost. But that's what I'm going to do right here. I'm going to walk through the entire build, show you a test print, and give you my thoughts right here on Kersey Fabrications. Let's go. So before I get too far into this video, let me kind of explain what this was. So I got this kit printer, and I'm familiar with kit printers. They come in a lot of pieces, meaning pretty much everything is separated in these kits. And number one, they save you a little bit of money, which is nice because there's no assembly involved, there's no labor. But number two, I think the purpose of a kit printer is, number one, to be treated kind of like a model. You should take your time assembling it, take great care to make sure that you're doing it correctly and following the directions, as well as making sure, particularly with these acrylic printers, that you don't break anything. So I sat down. This printer, between the filming and me doing my day-to-day stuff that I have to do and taking breaks and stuff like that, took about 6 hours of build time. And when I got done with all this footage, I've got a lot of footage, and I had some options here. I could have compressed it all down, trying to pick out some highlights. But honestly, after watching a tested video, I thought some people might really enjoy the process. And particularly if they bought one of these kits themselves, they may want to follow along in the process, since sometimes the videos that the printer came with are not super clear, and maybe I could be helpful. So what I've done in this video, I have decided to split it up. This is going to either be a 3 or a 4-part series. I am editing the video, so they are going to be trimmed of some of the fat, but overall I left the process. So if you enjoy sitting down watching someone go through the process of making something, you'll enjoy these videos. Now, if you just want the highlights, what I recommend, watch the beginning of this video. It's going to cover pretty much, all of the details of the printer. And then if you jump around, you'll see kind of the progress in this video, the next video. And then stay tuned till the end where I have the whole printer assembled. You'll get to see it print. And if you're looking for a functional printer, you'll get to see, is this a good printer for you? So I've talked enough about what I'm going to do. So let's cut over to me actually getting the work done and explaining what this printer really has in it. Let's go. So before we go any further with this build and test, let's take a look at the specs on the Banggood website. So as I mentioned, this is the EZT T1 Delta 3D printer. It is listed as 180, and it's actually 180 by 320 on the print bed. Notice this 180 is a diameter because the print bed on Cartesian style printers are circular, not rectangular. So if we go down, let's find out some more about the specs of this printer. Again, the model is T1. It has acrylic frame, aluminum base. It says it has a heated bed, as well as, of course, the heated nozzle. It is saying we can do ABS, carbon fiber, flexible PLA. I guess we'll take a look at that when we get to that point. It has a 200-watt power supply, and it is a kit. So you see here, notice that it has a 180 build plate, and it has a fairly tall build volume in the Z direction. Looking at the packing, we'll take a look at this in my box. So that's pretty much it. And it says it also comes with an LCD color screen, which we'll also take a look at when we get it put together. And what also really caught my eye about this printer, so it's well known that Deltas actually take a lot of computing power. And this one actually comes with an ARM-based motherboard, main board, and that should give us really good performance over an 8-bit controller that you see on most printers, particularly in this price range. So let's take a look at what I have here in the packaging. So here's the packaging I received. It is a flat pack box. I have gone ahead and opened it briefly. So let's see what I have. First of all, straight on the top of the box, we have tips for buyers. It comes with a layout of the packaging. It has the packaging contents as well as some steps, some tips. First of all, thanks for buying the product. Before you install, make sure all the parts are in good condition. We'll check for some basic damage here. They do not offer paper instructions according to this. We'll have to look on the memory card for our instructions. If there's any problems, please contact them directly. All right, let's open this up. See what we have here. So we have the aluminum extrusions, which are going to be for our Z direction. We have the display, which is very, very tiny. There we go. We have our main board, which is right there. I'm going to leave these pretty much where they come. We have the knob. Have a bunch of plastic pieces. These are the acrylic frame components. Comes with a small sample load of PLA. Has a power. I believe this is European style, so this is no good for me. And it does come with some nice tools. So we have a wrench, we have some snips, a screwdriver, all that's included. We have more parts. We have the tie rods that you use for the actual printing. Got a lot of those. And here's our extruder. It looks plastic extruder, but it actually is not too bad. It has good tension. It's not super flexible, so that's good. We have our other three motors for control. We have ribbons, or excuse me, belt cables, belt drives, and a lot of screws. We have our extruder, our actual hot end, which is a V6 style hot end. It looks like all the electronics here in terms of the heating element, the fan, as well as the thermistor already attached. Screws and more screws and plates and end stops. There's a lot in here. Here we have our what should be a 200 watt power supply. There's no extra labeling on this to let us know what brand it is. Kind of see in it does have, looks like decent cooling. We may be missing a couple of screws on this end that may have come out in shipping. Hopefully that means they're still in the box somewhere. What else is under here? So here's more of our acrylic frame. Go ahead and see these under here. Nothing looks broken. Let's double check. These are, by the way, these are 2020 extrusions, not 24s. Acrylic frame pieces. This is reminding me of my ANET A8 build. Alright, so let's go ahead and pull out here. Right here is the memory card. I actually have an SD reader in my laptop, so I'm going to pull this out, stick it in the adapter, and let's take a look at what comes on the SD card. Here we are with the SD card. It did pop up in my file manager, and we have an installation video, list of materials, software and manual, models. These are probably, yep, these are STLs we could use for testing. Laser guide. What are these? Ah, okay. Interesting. I guess you can do a laser cutter on this one. And let's see. Installation videos, installation guides. We will use these if we need to. Otherwise, I'm going to try to follow the written directions. So there's a T1 Plus. Okay, we're just building the regular T1. Maybe the T1 Plus has the laser end. Let's go to the software manual. Notice it comes with an old version of Cura, the Cura 15. This is going to be the driver for the printer, for the main board if you actually need the driver, if your operating system doesn't already have it. And Cura installation, perform the temperature set by, okay. So that's not the manual I was looking for. Do we have just directions? There we go. That's what I was looking for. Notice before installation. Okay, please check the BOM. Haven't gone through everything, but that's a lot of screws and stuff. Operating manual. This one. Okay, so this is just probably how to print. Here are the parts of a printer. Yep. All right. The user manual. Hopefully this is construction. Let's see. Nice pictures of the printer. More of that. So I am interested. Are we going to have to follow the video? Looks that way. Here's an operation video. But let's see. Oh wow, okay, so here's the installation guide. Doesn't appear to be any sort of written guide. There's schematics. There's part 1, part 2. Oh, maybe this is it. Did we get lucky? I don't know. Yeah. Alright, so this might be the manual I was looking for. Let's take a look. Gotta be able to read it. Okay. Here's the layout of the box, so it sort of tells us which area we're going to be working in. May decide to orient the box that way, although my box doesn't really map to that specifically. Alright. I don't know about these instructions. That doesn't look like where we would start off. Because the bottom plate isn't assembled already. So that's interesting. Yeah, I don't think we're here yet. Can we start off here? Yeah, again, we're not done with that part yet. So go back into step 1. Their manual here. See, there's not an actual PDF here, so it looks like we might have to follow our MP3s. So turn that down. Here's all of our parts. That was, okay, step 2. So step 1's looking at the part. Step 2, let's pause this. See what we're going to need. We're going to need the, I'm not going to be able to keep this up the whole time. Let me see if I can get a better arrangement for this. So I've got my tabletop set up here so that you can see what I'm doing and follow along, as well as the instructions so you see what I'm going by. So first of all, it looks like I need the 3 stepper motors. And I'm going to need bag 1 of screws. They do seem to have labels on them. This is a big bag 1. Of course it's in the bottom. There's bag 1. Alright, and then it looks like I'm going to need the acrylic motor holders, which are these 3 pieces. So now that I've got the first set of parts, move the box out of the way so that it can work. And let's get going. These are these. I'm going to need to grab the tools out of the box. Let's see how this goes. Some very small Allen wrenches in there as well. Alright, so let's take a look at this. Get to building. First thing we're going to have to do, of course, is take the wonderful paper coating off all of these pieces. Alright, there's our 3 acrylic pieces. So that should be everything we need. We're obviously going to need our screwdriver. And let's play this video. Showing, all right. Okay. Get the screws out. Go ahead. And put it together. Okay, that should be about it for this step. Let's play through this video. Oh, fill it back up, they say. Alright, next step. Step 3. Alright, we're going to need package 2, 3, and some more acrylic parts. 2 and 3. Acrylic parts. Take off the paper. Right, all of the papers off of this step, so let's take a look at what they're going to have us do next. Need some nuts to go in there. I take one of those. It goes like this, it appears. And then we just screw them together. I guess we're going to do that 3 times. Okay, now they are identical. Moving on in the instructions, we're done with that one. Now step 4, what they're probably going to call step 3, yep. So we are going to need our motors, which we have. We're going to need our 3 pieces there. And then it looks like we need bag 2 and 3 still, which we still have on the table, so that's good. We're apparently going to build the motor assembly. Take that, we're going to put the screws in. I'm going to take that way. Okay. Interesting. Make sure we got that right. Yep. Just like that. We're probably going to do 3 of them, so let's get our parts ready. Step 3 or 4 done. Step 5, alright. Back. Further. Alright. We're going to need bags 2 and 3, which we still have on the table, and we're going to need our main board. Okay. Main board, 2 and 3. It looks like we're going to need 4 of each of these. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right. Oh, we need to take it out of the package. It has an easy tear on it, so we're just going to pull that open. Pull our main board out. Okay. We're going to stick the screws through and attach 4 posts through it. Easy enough. Next up, step 6. Okay, we are going to need the main board, package 3 of the screws, which is just more nuts, and we're going to need the big acrylic main piece, or one of them. This is the one without the hole in it. This piece. But now, of course, we need to remove the covering. Notice on here there are markings built into here. This is the X, this is the Y, this is the Z to help you align, and they're carved into the acrylic. You can see them here. Here's a Z, an X, and a Y as well. Alright, that's all of it. Let's see how we assemble this. Obviously, these are symmetrical pieces. Front's going to be the same as the back. We need to find the main board posts that fit, and then orient it the same way they did in the video. Let me back up. Alright, there we go. Let me hold it the way they were holding it for my purposes. Move these over so I don't knock them off. Alright, so they've got these connectors on that side, this one here. Then they orient it this way. Notice mine's got this big heatsink on it, which is really nice. That's over the steppers. Of course, that also makes it where I can't tell what kind of stepper drivers they've put on this board. So I may have to peel that off at a later time to find out. But we'll know if they're quad or not. So they have that sitting right in there. And then they're going to take 4 nuts and just attach it to the frame. That's going to be this step. So let's do that. Main board attached. Make sure there's no visible damage, and we are ready to go on to the next step. Step 7. Okay, we're going to take this piece. We're going to need our power supply. And we're going to need package 2 and 3. Okay. We've got the 4 on the left, the 3 on the right. And they are sticking a screw. Be a single hole here somewhere. In this area. Looks like that they may have different mounting holes for different power supplies. It's not real clear which hole. Here are these holes, and there are 2 holes here. Tell a little bit better if we move it around. Particularly, I'm going to have to pick one of those. Nope, there's the one on the left and the one on the right. To me, it looks like it's the one on the right here. Yes. It's kind of hard to see on the display, but it is the one on the bottom right. So where that's at, there you can see mine better. And then we're going to put a nut on top of that one. And then, on the other side, this is going to go like this. You see, so power supply goes like that across the bottom. So the next one's obvious now. I'm going to put it here. Get in frame. There we go. Right there. Alright, so I've kind of reoriented here so maybe you can see what I'm doing better. Hopefully this is a better arrangement than what I was doing. Alright, so he's going to attach that second screw. Other than this crazy reflection you're going to get of me. See how they oriented our supply. Yep, so they've got the 4 on there. Alright. Now we are going to attach the screws onto here, which isn't the easiest way to do this. It'd be easier if I had a socket to get down in there. Step 7, there are 3 motors that we've used before. And then we need screw pack 2 and 3 from before. Okay, they're going to put the nuts in the motor side. And then stick it in one of the corners. Okay, and then we're going to jacking nut lightly with your fingertips, okay? So that we can then put in those 2 screws. That is on the motor side. So I think the reason they're doing that is because if we do it on the motor side, they kind of hold themselves in. There we go. Motor side. You're probably not going to be able to see this. There's plastic in the way all the way around. Let's see if we can get these nuts in here. Yep, I assembled it wrong. Because that should be over there. That's why that didn't look right to me. So I'm supposed to swap these 2 around. It's not a big deal, but let's do that before we move on. Okay. And moving back to this, we can now assemble these correctly. So the motors do go under. That fits through here. There we go. Now we can put those nuts in. We're obviously going to need a couple of these screws. This is bagged over 2. And do the way that they mentioned. Put these in first. Don't just throw away to get her to go. And the one with the longer one goes to the outside, and these are going to go underneath the bottom and catch. I'll show you the bottom in a minute once I get these on here. I need to turn it over to screw it on anyway. Let me see while we're doing this if they're going to go ahead and do the next 2 as well. I mentioned moving the nut slightly with your fingers. Not necessary. The screw actually should catch it. Let's see if they go ahead and do the other 2. If so, I'm going to do them all 4 at the same time because I can screw it on. Yep. So they're going to go ahead and do all 4. Let's grab 2 more screws. And get all 4 up at the same time. So here we are. Again, putting my finger behind it so we don't lose the nuts all the way through. Now I should be able to take these screws through the bottom one at a time, because otherwise they're not going to stay in by themselves. Alright. Now if all those have the nuts grabbed, I can actually turn it over and tighten all 4 of these down at the same time. Okay. That's on there. Let's see if they're just going to do the other 3 corners the same way. Yep, pretty symmetrical. And once they've all gotten them tightened down, we are done with this step. Alright, let's do the rest of them. And there we go. All the motors and electronics are mounted. Should take us to the end of that step. Step 9. Was there a step 8? Or did they just renumber? That was 8 that we were on. Yes. Step 9. Alright, moving on, we have step 9, which appears to be electronics, and it involves the assembly that we've put together so far, as seen in the picture, as well as an electronics bag number 2 and the 2 and 3 screws that we've already got out. Let's see what we're going to do here. Alright, let's pull out the electronics, and we have lots of wires. We need the power cord, it looks like. Yep. And here, there is a power cord. And looks like they're going to have us stick this through. This, it's funny, this step is still in Chinese or Mandarin. What are they going to have us do? Alright, so we're going to stick it through where the left one is going to be that way. Now this thing's keyed, luckily, so won't be any question of which way it goes. Power does, oddly enough, come this way because the power supply is on the back, so we're going to pop that in there. And we're going to take our screws, put them in there like they're doing, then tighten these down. Don't lose any of our tools. Alright. Screw so we can tighten it correctly. Okay, next one. Okay, and that pops open like that. So we're probably going to turn it over. Yep. Go back a little bit so that we can see which side's left and neutral. And alright, Here are those missing screws from the power supply. We're going to need those. Pop this up. Go ahead and grab these in. Okay. They have the red going to the center. We have black going to neutral. So if you notice, this plug here is missing a ground pin, which I don't like, which means I'll probably end up replacing this plug. Now, also, I'm noticing this connector here is not on well. It's crimped all right, but the crimp does not go all the way, so the plastic part is not crimped all the way onto the actual sheathing of the wire. So this needs to be replaced, because as it stands right now, if this moves around too much, it's going to short out or break. For the purpose of this video, I'll go ahead and leave it, but I'm going to have to replace that. Probably just replace it when I go ahead and replace that plug with a ground connector. Okay. Neutral. Yeah. Alright, so we're going to get our power connectors that are going to come from our power supply. And we have thunder. It's nice. And all we need to do on the other side of this supply is hook up our reds and blacks to the correct location. Now if you notice, mine also seems to be missing, and I'll have to check the box for this to see if it's off somewhere. But mine seems to be missing the cover that goes over these DC connectors. Luckily, the DC ones probably really not hot enough to give yourself much of a shock. Luckily, the AC ones are still covered, so this isn't a huge deal. But obviously, it would be better if they were covered. So if you see here, these two are our negatives, these two are positives. That's how they're going to get hooked up. Doesn't matter which one goes to where. I do like to pair them up though if I have a choice. So, red and blacks that are going to the same connectors. But I think all four of these are going to the main board, so it doesn't matter anyway. Okay. Then let's find out what connector this plugs into. This is going to go to the one that's closest to the 4. So if you notice, this is labeled. We've got 12 volt, ground, ground, 12 volt. Let's make sure we're actually wired that way. 12 volt, ground, ground, 12 volt. And we'll plug that into our main board. And it is a snap connector, so it will hold on. There we go. What's next? So these are our stepper cables, it looks like. So there are multiple links here. Yep, that's the extruder one. I'm going to take the shortest one and see what links we have. So those two are the same length. This one's the same length. and then our extruder one's longer. These are labeled, so we will line them up with how they're labeled here. So this is our Y. So the 4 pin goes into the main board of the Y. And then we find out which one has the etching for Y. This is our Y motor here. So the 6 pin side is going to go into the Y. Okay. I'm going to look at, this one's the Z. 4 pin into the main board. This motor here is the Z. So I'm going to plug that right in. Same way, 6 pin into the motor. Okay, making sure all of our connections look good as we're going. And then we have another Y. Hold on. That doesn't make a lot of sense. So we have 2 of these labeled Y, which isn't a big deal. It's not like I'm not going to know which one goes to where. But I got 2 Ys. They should be wired exactly the same, so it's not a big deal. I'm going to take this one again into, this is going to be our X. Okay. Watch the video. But we do have to pay attention the whole time, making sure X goes to X and Y goes to Y and Z goes to Z. They're showing different length cables depending on where we are. Mine didn't come that way. All 3 of these are the same length. Interesting. So, hold on. So, with the X, it's very close. And they didn't worry about it. But for the Y, it looks like I actually took it through the holes in the board. And then through which hole on the way back? We can make that change. Okay, and then through the flat end there. So let's do that for cable management. I assume that's why they're doing that. Pretty good. Let's take that through. There we go. Take that through here. Make sure we're not crossing wires. So, through here. And they had taken it, I'm guessing, through here. Just for cable management. Into the motor. Okay, and then looks like they probably did that with the Z as well. So we'll make sure, but I'm sure they did it for cable management on the Z as well. Through the hole, and I'm guessing they came back through that wide hole again. Or did they use the little hole? Nope, they used the little hole. Alright. So use a little hole here. Through. Back up through there. Okay. Now the steppers are wired the way they want them. And then we're going to have E here, which we don't have plugged in, but I'm guessing they're about to at least hook it up since it's out. Let's find out. We'll clean up the wiring on this later. It's easy. Yep, they're hooking up E, which is labeled correctly. Take that through here. And they're taking that back through the Z hole. Hold on, they're doing some crazy wiring here. What was that? Take it down through that hole. And then back up through the same hole that the Z motor went through. pull that tight. And then they took it back through another hole. So the one next to here. Okay. I'm going to have to kind of bend the connector just a little bit so we can get back through there. Make sure we don't catch on anything. And now they have that like that. Alright, now they're showing us the underside. We can flip it back over. Again, I'll come back with cable management ties later. It's not gonna, nothing here is gonna stop us on that real quick. Alright. So that one's, I'm gonna pull some of these tight, although it's not gonna make much difference without cable ties. But it looks nice. Alright. Moving on to step 10. I think we're getting really close to halfway there. Let me find out. I'm curious. Oh no. We're about a third of the way there according to this. Step 9 has the 4 accessory bag. This one is primarily in stops, it looks like. Let's go ahead and pull it out before we get going. We'll be a little bit ahead because there are some paper pieces to take off here. Okay, that's one end stop, and it does click. It's good. Have another end stop. That one also clicks. That one will function correctly. And the last one, again, functioning end stop. That's good. Again, there we go. Alright, ready for the step. So, unwrap one of our end stops, grab the one on top. Okay. Oh man, being clumsy with this. There we go. Apparently we're going to take that through, looks like the Y. So, take that through the Y. Where are they sending it through? The big hole. Take that through the big hole. And they're taking it back around the motor. And then, what was that? There's some crazy wiring stuff here. Take it back through. It looks like the same one that we have that same motor through, maybe. I think it's the same hole. I'm going to tighten that up later, I'm sure. And then to bring it back up to that small hole. And if this is the same one, again, this was this one here, this was Y, I believe. the Y. And they took it back up through here. And guess they're going to plug that into the Y and stop. They may have done it. Nope, yeah, I called it. That was Y. So here's the Y and stop. And they want to pull it back tight, not underneath it, but through the end stop. So that's what I'm going to do. There's strange. And pull it tight here first, and then we'll pull it back tight through the other hole we pulled it through. And then I'll pull it one final time back through here. Alright. And then they're going to do the same thing with which one is that? One next to it, silly. Of course, they're all next to each other. Let's see, which one are they doing? Does it even matter? Excuse my chair. Here. And back over. So, looks like it is probably Z. So, I'm going to take it back to the hole. Hold on. Big hole. Back up through that hole next to it. Okay. Z came up through there. Do exactly what we did last time. Go back through the hole that the motor uses. Okay, so after they pull through there, they go through that small hole again. This hole here? No. Should be this hole here. It comes through in the same spot as the last one. And then this one is for Z, I believe. Yeah, this one's Z. Z goes right here. These are labeled SZ, SX, or XS. Yeah, anyway. I guess we'll do the same thing with the last one. Let's go tighten this one up. And the last one is this one. Undo the cable. Same thing, go through the hole, and back around through the hole next to the motor. Well, this one's right here anyway, so let's see where they're going to have us take that one. I'm going to take it through the hole, but they may just leave it there and just go straight to it.
No, so that was the previous one. They're still doing it anyway. I guess just to shorten the wire maybe. So I'll take it through here, go back through the hole, and that was the X, not a big deal. We'll put that in the X in stop, and we can tighten that one up now. Double check that last one since I skipped over. Let's see. Alright, here's the beginning of that X one. He stuck it through there. Yep, and then he went around to that circle. He went around to that circle. He went just straight over there. Okay. So that's what he did. And back into there. And tighten it all up. That is the end of step 10.
Well, that's the end of part 1. If you've enjoyed this video, and possibly if it's enticed you to go grab one of these printers for yourself, head down in the description where you'll find a link directly to Banggood where you can pick one of these up. Again, like I said at the beginning, they're under $160. Great price for a good kit printer, and I think you're going to enjoy the rest of the series and then the finale where you get to actually see this printer print. So again, if you've liked this video, hit the like button, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. If you want to get notified as soon as the rest of these series come out, hit the little bell icon next to the subscribe button and you'll be notified on all of your devices. Again, I'm Chris. This has been Kersey Fabrications. Thanks for joining me.